I'm a case of mixed emotions this morning. I sit here and I go, man, finally we get the Browns. They get to make a pick today. Yes, awesome. Did the Cavs get smoked last night? Did they get absolutely demolished by the Orlando Magic? Was I dreaming that, Michael Bohm? Did I see that last night? All the excitement I had for the draft, and then I got to talk about a Cavs game where they got absolutely smoked. Guards won yesterday. All right, let's go. They're back in action this weekend with an important series down in Atlanta. Yeah, we got to dissect that Cavs game last night. And the Browns, at some point, I don't know when, but I assume at some point tonight, we'll be making a draft pick, bringing a player on it. Is it a player we've all been talking about? Is it the player that you want? We will find out tonight. We got Cavs, we got Browns, we got guards, we got the grid, we got morning update, we got Michael Bohm with us this morning right here on Big Play. Welcome to the show, everybody. I am Matt Fontana. He is Michael Bohm. Good morning, Bohm. Appreciate you stepping in today with Ryan. He's got, you and I are a little older, so he's like, oh, I'm going to graduation. My buddies are graduating. Bro, if my buddies were graduating now, they'd be graduating like, I don't even know from what. They'd have been in school for 10. Dude, I started high school 20 years ago. I was a freshman 20 years ago.
That's crazy.
Do you have any friends that still have to graduate?
Yeah. Maybe from like their second run around of grad
Right, they get
school.
their MBA, grad school, they're going back to medical school. I think by 35 you're supposed to be a doctor, so maybe you're just trying to get out from that. But yes, Ryan's on assignment this weekend. So we got Bohm with us today. Very excited to have him in. We got a lot of draft stuff to talk about. Yeah, all the drama from last night. I actually think the first round was very helpful to the Cleveland Browns. It was. Did not see Bo Nix. Did Sean Payton really compare him to Patrick Mahomes? Can you believe that? Okay, fine. That aside, I think things really helped out for the Browns last night with how things fell. You had some of the receivers you expected to go, a few still on the board. Ladd is still there. I think it helps that some guys you thought were first-round locks kind of slipped down too. That's going to help out the Browns for tonight if they make that pick at 54. But we have a lot to discuss with that coming up later. Guards are in action. We'll get to our Typico boost a little bit later. We got the grid. We'll get to a slammed time hop today, especially on the movie side of things today, Bohm. I'm excited you're here. We got some good movies in time hop coming up. But I'm going to put in time hop for yesterday that the Cavs got absolutely demolished by the Orlando Magic. And you know, we start this morning by sitting here and saying, all right, that was one of the worst losses in Cavs playoff history. You could tell from the jump that this was all Orlando. And if I say that, you're not surprised. They're at home. Their backs were against the wall. They came out firing, right? You saw the same thing with the 76ers last night. You did not see the same thing with the Lakers last night. Well, they tried. It was a close game. But anyway, Orlando came out firing. And they were actually hitting some threes, and the Cavs were not hitting some threes. The question, and maybe we'll put this up this morning, Bohm, it's kind of the broad-end spectrum question here. Are you concerned? Are you concerned about the Cavs after that game last night? And I wanted to wake up and try to calm everybody and say, like, it was one game. Don't worry about it. It's just one in the loss column. It doesn't matter that you lost by almost 40. It was just one. But then I stopped myself, Bohm, when I really thought about it. What has been one of the biggest issues with the Cavs off the playoff series last year, fighting through some of the injuries, and one of the biggest knocks against JB Bickerstaff? It was a mentality thing. It was the mental side of the makeup of the Cavaliers. Bro, you lost that game last night because of your mental. You lost that game last night because you did not have a mentality, whether you were not prepared for them to come out like the way they did, which I don't know how you couldn't. You lost that game because of that. You lost the game because you were not ready to go. This was not a game that they just beat you up physically or they just hit a couple of shots. That's a 10-point loss. They didn't beat you because they just had some magical game plan and ran the same plays and pick and rolls and they beat you. That's a 15-point loss. When you lose by almost 40, that's a mentality loss. And I understand that they pulled a lot of the starters and Marcus Morris was playing a good chunk of the end of that game. I get it. I'm talking about the starters that went into halftime down 16. Down 16 at half is what I'm talking about. That's my issue with the Cavaliers. Am I going to sound the alarms? Am I going to say that the Cavs are going to get not reverse swept, because we did that to the Warriors. Am I worried about the Cavs losing this series? That's another good question, Bo. You're typing the question up here. What do you like better? Your concern, or are you worried the Cavs are going to lose this series?
It's a little more dramatic, but I do kind of like that.
All right, do that. Bohm's going to flip that out on our Twitter. Drop us a follow. We're at Matt Fontana Show. We're up on Twitter, streaming live on YouTube and Twitch every morning at Matt Fontana Show. Are you concerned about the Cavs losing this series? I think that is actually the number one question that you wake up with today, because that is a direct reflection of your concern about last night's game. And you could take the tack that I started with. Hey, man, it's one game. It's one game. You knew Orlando was going to come out that way. They were back home. They were more comfortable. And I tell you this, I didn't expect a sweep. Even up 2-0, I did not expect a sweep. I figured that there was going to be an Orlando win somewhere. Okay, it was last night. Good, fine, there it is. And I try not to read too much into the score and how the game played out. But, Bohm, I'd be lying if I didn't say I was concerned about the mentality issues. This is not some LeBron-led team that you have supreme confidence that you're going to be able to finish this out. This is not some number one seeded team that has been through trials and tribulations. Here's the thing. The Cavs are going through them right now. They are that growing team. They are learning off of what happened last year, learning through this regular season. And yeah, what they do and how they come back tomorrow night to try to find a way to get back going, this is just part of the journey. This is part of this Cavs team figuring out who they are. But again, it's just that you nod at the one issue that I really had. The number one issue that I had with this team is the thing that popped up last. I guess you shouldn't be surprised, right? You shouldn't be surprised by saying a young team that you kind of question if they have the right mentality some nights. That's what smoked them last night. Again, maybe I'm discrediting the Magic a little here, Bo. Maybe I'm just saying, they didn't really do anything that important. I'm chalking this up more as like the Cavs lost that game than the Magic won it. But I do have to give a lot of credit to Orlando because they came out fast, quick, and they got after you.
Yeah, Matt, I think when you look at that, like how the way the series started, it felt like the Magic were just embarrassed in those first two games. I mean, they weren't scoring effectively at all. They were essentially being dominated. And so I really did expect that they were going to punch back. I thought the Cavs could maybe defend themselves a little better than that. So this is going to be a very fascinating game 4 for them. Like, how are they going to bounce back? Is this going to be one where we see them coming in like wilted and beaten down? Donovan Mitchell having by far his worst outing here in the playoffs, when in the first 2 games he had been like the best player on the court. And I really thought that also in those first 2 games, you started to see guys like Evan Mobley and Jared Allen establish their presence and be like extremely effective on both sides of the court. So will they be able to get back to that on the road? Right now, it almost feels like it was like a fluke of the home court advantage. Like, is it that big of a difference that you're playing down south at Florida?
I think it's more about Orlando, probably, right? Like about for them. You know, you talk about Mitchell, but what a bad game from Darius Garland. What is going on with Max Strus? Seriously, what is up with Max Strus? And there are some things. A Garland to a point, I'll set that aside. Donovan Mitchell, I will set that aside. These guys have been playing well. What are two of the guys that we brought up when this series started were guys like Georges Niang and Max Strus? I am concerned about Max Strus. The guy can't hit a 3 right now. And he's a shooter. What do you do in basketball when you keep shooting? There's only one way out of this for Max Strus, and that's for him to keep putting shots up. Niang, you know, if you're relying on your third, second guy off the bench, I think you got a lot of problems. But I'm just saying his contributions haven't been there. I think for Karis LeVert, he showed up last night for the first time in quite a while where I was like, yes, that is the Karis LeVert that I know people are upset he didn't even get a vote for 6th man of the year. That is the importance of Karis LeVert. I'm a giant Karis LeVert fan. I think he has a great role in this team, and he can do some of the things like you saw last night where he had to carry the offense at times. It just seemed almost from the jump that this game, it was fried. And I sent a tweet out early, and I said, listen, they're shooting well. We're not. Cavs are still okay. And then it took a turn for the worse, and I go, okay, the Cavs are not okay in this game, and you lose it. So you can look at it from two standpoints. You can say one, which is just they lost the game, or you can look at 40 and go, they almost lost by 40. What goes into that? I know late in the game, again, a lot of the scrubs were in there. You chalk it up. You get ready to go for tomorrow night. But it's really, I'm interested to see how people are looking at this game. Do you see this as a signaling of issues again? Do you see this as some of the big problems that the Cavs have had cropping back up? To give my honest answer and to go to our Twitter question this morning at Matt Fontana Show, I still feel good about this Cavs team. I still do. Right now, it sucks. That game sucked. But am I concerned about the Cavs? No. It was one game. We will see how tomorrow goes. But I'm just going to flush this and say there's their one loss. There it is. They were never, I really never thought they were going to sweep the Magic out. Would have been nice to get that win. You didn't. And now all the eggs are in your basket to win game 4. The mentality thing again, to the level of me concerned about the Cavs, that is the one thing I don't want to see. That is the one thing that we will find out 5 minutes into that game tomorrow night. You will find that out 5 minutes into that game tomorrow about the mentality of this team, the mental side of this team. That loss can break you. That loss can also just be, can JB Bickerstaff walk into that locker room and just chalk it up and say, guys, wasn't our night. Wasn't our night. It's almost the mentality I want him to take. But you're in a 7-game series in the playoffs, and you just had your worst performance. How do you get him to rebound from that? How do you get your team to come back? Now, the other interesting part is JB has been a big figure, polarizing figure, so to speak, on this playoff run, what his job security was going to be. And now, Bohm, I'm going to look at him to say, this might have to be your toughest coaching challenge. Going even through all the injuries, where at a time, JB was excelling. I don't think he quite excelled through the Donovan Mitchell injuries, because that just tells you how important Donovan is to this team. There's only so much you can overcome. I understand that. But now, this might actually be the test to tell you whether or not JB Bickerstaff is going to be your coach of the future. I unfortunately believe that you're too far gone already, that the Cavs might be leaning towards making a move there. I like JB. I don't want that to be the case, but that's kind of how I view it. Well, Bohm, here's almost a reprieve. Here is almost a little reprieve to say, what are you going to do now? What are you going to do in this moment, getting ready for this game 4, where you had an atrocious outing? Do you get your guys back on track? Do you get your guys to focus back in? And maybe I'm making too much to say that the Cavs weren't focused last night, but Bohm, I don't have any other excuse for what happened last night. I really don't. Orlando got hot, and then we just kind of turtled up, I guess. I cannot wrap my brain around that any way else other than to say the Cavs didn't have the right mentality last night. That's what I said earlier. A 10-point loss, I'll listen to they hit some shots. A 15-point loss, I'll listen to they had a better game plan, whatever. Almost 40? Almost 40, really 20 with your starters. That's a mentality thing.
And you hit on just one, like my biggest fear, honestly, as far as this Cavs personnel, it's got to be Darius Garland.
Mm-hmm.
And you kind of touched on it before, but it's like he's almost been virtually non-existent, especially last night. It was just, he's getting his shots, he's finding space. He's taking shots that you think normally you're okay with him taking, but he couldn't hit one to save his life.
Yeah.
Is that the Darius Garland? How much is it that jaw injury and coming back from that? Like, does he suddenly have the yips?
It seems that way this season, and we talked to a lot of people that bring that up, Bohm, to say he lost that weight. He's not been the same. I think trying to look at it from the 10,000-foot view, it's certainly pressure, because you, me, and everybody know that if Donovan Mitchell re-signs that deal, that Darius Garland he's not going to be here. He just can't be with the CBA, right? Then I know it was a year ago, bro, he had a shift to say, this isn't your team anymore. This is not. Where Darius, who's coming off an all-star appearance, was paid first-round pick of this team, probably had the idea, this is mine. This is my team. And Mobley and Allen are great players, and I'm going to lead this team. Oh, wait a minute. Here comes Donovan Mitchell. Hey, man, sorry. It's actually his team now. It's actually his team now. That is a whole shift that you have to understand about. Then, on the court, a shift of his position, where he is a true point guard. He really is. And they have put him into the shooting position now, off the ball, because you have Donovan Mitchell. And again, we've talked a lot about the offense looking like it does with Mitchell versus Garland. And maybe there's inherent pressure on Darius when he's bringing the ball up the court to go, man, I better not screw this up. We better run the right system here, because it just seems like every time Garland does, the offense looks flummoxed. It just doesn't look like it's in a good flow. It's in a good pace. Almost to this point now where I'd rather have Karis LeVert bringing the ball up. Darius Garland's now third on that depth chart for me of guys to bring the ball up the court. I understand the mental side of that just for Darius and what that change might be. Now, you want to be critical, and you can be. Come right back to me and be like, bro, he had all season to get that figured out. This isn't something that they changed last week. This is something that they've had to do all year. Now, you had injuries. You had to change things. That's hard to do to get into a flow. But it's very clear now, Darius Garland's got to be your number two. I'm talking about shooting guard. And probably number two on your team, right? He's got to shoot more, because Jared Allen really is the second best player on this team. But still, it's a new role, all that. And you look at last night, and his shot was off. He just didn't have it. And I'm never going to say that Darius is of that elite level of a shooter where you're void of those off game. Every shooter has an off game. But, like, it's either it seems feast or famine with him. He's either 4 out of 7 from beyond the arc or he's 2 out of 10 from the floor, I think. 1 out of 4 from beyond the arc. Cavs abysmal from beyond the arc. They got dominated. They got smoked. So to our Twitter question this morning, up at Matt Fontana Show, are you concerned about the Cavs after that loss last night? Simple yes or no. Boom, I voted no. I understand the concern, but I'm just going to chalk that up as that was just one game. I want to see what this mentality of the team is moving forward. I voted no. Please cast your vote.
You know what? I'm with you. And I think that there is reason to be concerned after that one. But we've seen them kind of beaten down and then bounce back before. And it truly is only one game. As bad as it was, they have the opportunity to shake that off. Frankly, I thought Orlando was coming into this one with a massive chip on their shoulder after those first 2 games. Like, they were just totally beaten down. And I think that so many of us Cavs fans, we're taking that for granted. You know, we're already looking on to round 2. And maybe that kind of got, and you called it like a mental thing. And I wholeheartedly agree with that take, Matt. And so maybe the Cavs were sort of starting to do that a little bit too.
Good point.
Yeah, I wonder.
The mind wanders, Bohm. You know,
yes,
the mind starts to wander. All right, man, we're up 2-0. Look at Boston struggling over there. I mean, the mind wanders. I get it.
It felt like we got a little bit of ahead of ourselves. And so this was the fall back to earth. This is adversity. Adversity strengthens. Let's see it strengthen this Cavalier squad.
I love it. Vote on our Twitter question. We'll take some of your tweets as well. At Matt Fontana Show. At Mr. Bombastic. I'm at Matt Fontana 83. Drop us a follow on there on the Twitter side of things. We have a ton of draft stuff that we have to get to. But, Boom, let's first wrap up the NBA. Let's go around the NBA. 2 other games last night. Let's get on to it. A little bad night for me on Tipico, but that's all right. Let's get to it around the NBA.
All right, Matt. Well, I'm not sure if this is the right music.
That's fine. Ryan and I have been going back and forth on which ones we pick, so this one works for me. It's all good.
Okay.
It has a nice Friday vibe to it. I think this is the morning update one, so that's fine. Okay. We're good. Let's roll.
Well, we might circle back to this beat.
Sure,
it's just that good that I want to hear it again.
That's fine with me.
All right. So outside of that Cavalier Magic matchup, some other games that were in action last night. How about the Philadelphia 76ers? They take down the New York Knicks 125-114. Joel Embiid, by the way, had a pretty monster performance, if I don't say so myself. He finished the game with 50 points, Matt. Now, there's been concerns about him being injured going into this one, and there are still times where it looks like he's kind of
well, now
wincing.
It comes out that he's battling Bell's palsy. That's one that came out last night. So Embiid has 50. By the way, on 19 of 21 from the free throw line. there. You let Brunson go off for almost 40 and you still get a win. The fact that Embiid, not just the knee, it comes out that he's battling Bell's palsy. And that's a facial paralysis. And I mean, that's not good. That's something that probably, and you put up 50, so I guess he's doing all right. But my biggest concern was he didn't look like himself. Now I know why. I said over and over, looks like he was huffing it up and down the court. I thought it was just the knee. I thought his knee was barking, and he just wasn't in good condition. I find he's battling Bell's palsy. That series at 2-1, it feels like it's still on. I think it's still the Knicks, though. You know, like, again, you talk about the same mentality of the Cavs, right? You're up. You had Philly back at home. You gave him everything that you could. And Embiid's not always going to score 50. You had 25 from Maxey. That's fine. I just still question, like, Embiid, is he going to be able to do that again? 40 minutes and 50 points while battling a knee injury and another illness now? Still a little much. I think I'm going to still ride with the Knicks in that series, but I wouldn't be shocked if Philly got another one. Here's how I think it's going to go. I think the Knicks will win Game 4. I think Philly will win Game 5, and then the Knicks will close it out in Game 6. That's kind of my vibe right now on how it goes, and that, of course, is Philly win there at Madison Square Garden, which would be a tough one, but still, I think I'm still going to take in the Knicks in that one. But it's a lot like the Magic. Philly knew they couldn't go down 3-0, back at home, gave everything that you could. Is that the last gasp of Joel Embiid, though? Does he have to come back and be able to do a performance like that? Should never count Embiid out, but we'll have to see.
Yeah, it really doesn't feel like that 76ers team is 100% to me. I mean, you're not...
Right.
How often is Joel Embiid going to be able to put forth a performance like that? And the Knicks, you know, despite losing Julius Randle earlier in the year, like, they have been one of the hotter teams in basketball here in the tail end of the season. I feel like they've been on a little bit of a tear. I'm with you in terms of taking the Knicks and maybe this sort of feeling like more of a one-off for the 76ers, but we shall see. All right, well, commencing fourth here in last night's NBA action, Matt.
Poor Bron.
How about the Denver Nuggets? They take down the LA Lakers to go up on a 3-0 lead over the Lake Show. Now, interestingly, 4 of the 5 Nuggets starters, Matt, finished with over 20 points. Oh, by the way, 3 of which had double-doubles. So you talk about a well-rounded squad. How about these Nuggets?
That's my favorite thing about the Nuggets. Yes, Jokic, but I like Aaron Gordon. I like Michael Porter Jr. People sleep on Jamal Murray. They are so stacked. For the Lakers, you have your standard. 33 for AD, 26 for Bron, and you even got the 20 from Reeves. You got Jack squatting nothing from D'Angelo Russell. He had all those threes. He was 0-4 from the field. That's it. The Lakers are fried. They're obviously not going to win this series. There's no chance in hell that's happening. And LeBron's probably taking a hard look at his future to say, I can't win with this team. What was supposed to be the plan and the game plan for LeBron late in his career? Hey, I can still put you up 26. I need other people to help shoulder the load here. You'd like to think it's Anthony Davis, fine. But you realize it has to be more than that. Sorry to Rui Hachimura. I don't think it's him. They wanted to trade D'Angelo Russell, but again, you have one game where he goes off, now nothing. It's clear that they don't have enough with the Lakers. So does LeBron, which I think is what he's going to do, hold out in LA and say, you got to go do something this offseason. Acquire Donovan Mitchell. I don't know. But you better go get somebody else in here because you need another. Here's the thing. LeBron is still an amazing player. But it's now almost time for him to become number 3 of the big 3. Where in his whole career, he was the number 1. And I know it's still his team. His goal on the way out was what? I'll become the number 3. It was the dream here in Cleveland, wasn't it? That Kyrie and Kevin Love would ascend up to those 1 and 2 spots. LeBron be here at 3, and we'd be all roses and prairies and rainbows and winning championships, right? Didn't happen. Okay, fine. I think that's kind of my more interest in this one. And knowing that the confidence in the Nuggets to weather that storm. That's the other thing I love about Denver, man. They don't panic. They're down. They don't panic. They don't freak out. They're right into it. They get it done. That series is very fortunately over. Now we're on LeBron watch. Everybody's got my eye on LeBron and what he's going to do with his future. I think he's staying in L.A. That's just me. I know there's the Bronny stuff out there. Is he going to Duquesne? I don't know. But I feel bad for I feel bad for LeBron. It's got to go down this way.
I don't know if I feel bad for LeBron per se, but it does kind of feel like his career is just rotting away in Los Angeles right now when he could be You know, we've seen all these years, like he left Cleveland to go to Miami because he wanted to win. And we saw him come back to Cleveland because he wanted to win, and they go out and make all these acquisitions and become extremely competitive. And now that he's just in this situation where it feels like he went to LA in the first place, more so for being in LA, right? Like all the stuff that surrounds that sort of Hollywood vibe.
Yeah.
He's there for that more so than like the actual winning. I'm not saying he doesn't want to win. I'm just saying maybe there are other factors that are sort of on his mind with that decision. And I totally agree with you that like he can't be the guy anymore. Like he's going to need more, and I don't have any hope for the Lakers to really resolve that.
No, not at all. So again, how it plays out from here, Nuggets on the path. I think they'll be representing the Western Conference there. We got some games tonight. We'll get to those a little bit later with the morning update because we turn our attention to football. Boom, we get to make a pick. It's like the gift from Titanic. It's been 84 years. Not that long. Watching last night, though, man, do I miss the draft. And I know you love the draft, too. You and I have talked about this for a long time. You and I love doing draft stuff at our prior stop. Love it. Ready to go tonight for the Browns. There's a lot to get into about last night. On the whole, though, I think last night was beneficial to the Cleveland Browns. I think last night in the first round went about as good as you could say. There were some wide receivers that you expected to go sure. There were some of those tweener guys with Worthy, Pearsall. I know C.J. Stroud was not happy to see Ricky Pearsall go. He was somebody that, a lot of people was quick on me when I brought him up to the Browns. Like, oh, no, he's too old. Same thing with Braden Fisk. Oh, no, man, they're 24, and that doesn't really go with what Andrew Berry's doing. So if he was really, well, again, not in Andrew Berry's thing, but still, like, not on the board per se for the Browns, then you wanted him to go in the first round. You wanted Penix to go. You wanted Penix to go. You wanted Bo Nix to go. I, like an idiot, took his over 32.5 draft slot for Bo Nix. Missed that just a little bit.
Just a little.
And Sean Payton comes out this morning and he says, I think he looks a lot like Patrick Mahomes. Okay. All right, Sean. And then, okay, we're going to talk about Browns. So Sean Payton, who they trade up to go get Bo Nix, right? He comes out, first off, with the story that he wanted to go get Patrick Mahomes in 2017, but the Chiefs jumped him. This is no shot at former. There's something about NFL head coaches. They love telling you how smart they were, or I was going to do this, or I was going to do that, or this. So for him to come out and be like, I was going to go I'm sure you were, Sean. I'm sure you were going to go draft Patrick Mahomes. Okay, buddy, right. So now he comes out and he's saying Bo Nix reminds him of Patrick Mahomes. To each their own in their evaluation. But nonetheless, that works out for the Browns. The fact that I thought we had more offensive linemen go in the first round than we expected. We know the crazy stat about the run on offensive linemen was 12 picks before you got, or 13. No, wait. 14 straight picks, right? 14 straight
Offensive
picks
players.
to take offensive players. That set a draft record for any stretch in any draft ever, that you had 14 consecutive picks of offensive guys, let alone the fact it was the first 14 picks of the draft. So the fact that you had some guys sneak up there, you expected Brian Thomas, he was going to be a first-round pick. Worthy, I expected kind of around there, dude. Hell in Kansas City, man. That speed, oh boy, watch out for that. All right, Leggett goes, you expect that. Pearsall, I think, helps, and a couple other things. So really, when I do look at it, I think the Browns are in a really solid spot, knowing that you still have to go through 20 picks tonight, if you stay at 54, to get the right guy available for the Browns. But overall, having some of those linemen get bumped up help. I think a little shock for me was Cooper DeJean not going in the first round. I know he's got medical issues. There are people right before the draft saying, oh, he's a lock. He's a for sure kind of player. He slips to the second round now. I'm not saying he'll be there for the Browns. That's not the interest. But the more guys that are available up there helps the Browns. Then I flip over and take a look at the wide receivers available. Boom, haven't really had a chance to talk to you about it. I'm all in on wideout. That's where I've conditioned myself that 54, I'd like a wide receiver. Now, if they take one tonight, what does that say about Amari Cooper, about his future, his deal? I don't know, right? But I still think you take one knowing that that is a position, that's the future of the NFL, quarterbacks and wide receivers. And you have guys that maybe would have been first-round picks in other drafts that are now slipped to the second round. Maybe hopefully one of those guys that slipped down to the Browns. We'll see. But I think that is the pick. The other thing that I'm starting to sniff is that they do trade. That they do trade that pick and maybe move on back. If there is a wide receiver that starts to fall, Ryan's all on Ladd McConkey. He wants nothing more in this world than Ladd McConkey to the Browns. He's still available. But I don't know. I'm almost ruling out a trade up. Save that clip. I'm almost ruling out a trade up. That's going to come back to bite me. I'm almost ruling out the trade up. I'm starting to feel the trade back. I know people want D tackle. Offensive line could make some sense. For me, it's wide receiver or trade back. I think those are the two options for the Browns. They sit there at 54. So we take a look at some of the wide receivers on best available. Best available, according to ESPN, Adonai Mitchell, also out of Texas. He ain't going to be there at 54. Ladd McConkey is 2. He ain't going to be there at 54. Keon Coleman out of Florida State. Most likely not going to be there at 54. So then you get to Jalen Polk out of Washington, Jalen McMillan out of Washington, Troy Franklin out of Oregon, Rome Wilson out of Michigan, Malachi Corley. Can I get you a little Devontae Walker out of North Carolina? They were showing some clips of him last night. They were actually doing it to show one of the corners. I forgot, man, some of that speed from Devontae Walker. Those are more of the area that you're thinking. Take Jerry Rice's son, Brendan Rice, USC. He's the 7th best receiver available right now. He probably will be there. But I think there's a good chunk of those guys right there. Polk, Franklin, Wilson, Walker, Malachi Corley. I'd be okay with any one of those guys at 54. The good news is you're probably going to have a shot at one of them.
You know what? This is one of those draft classes, too, where it felt like wideout was far and away the strong suit of this draft. And so I feel like it would be unwise to not at least take a flyer on one of these guys who you feel like could be a good fit. That being said, you also alluded to it, Matt, in terms of just how few defenders went off the board. At this point, I've just come to, like, I'm going to trust what Andrew Berry's decision is here, but it does come back to that debate of, like, best player available versus need. But it feels like you're going to have some very, very good, maybe not top tier, but second tier defenders on the board there. That could very well be like the best opportunity to take one.
Yeah, maybe put this out. I'd be interested to see people at Matt Fontana Show. Call your shot tonight, 54. Wide receiver, D tackle, trade back. Or you want to throw anything else in there? Offensive line, you want to throw that in there?
I like that.
All right, throw that
or other.
Other, that's fine. You can put O-line in there. D tackle is interesting because Newton, who I thought might be a first-round pick, he's still there. We talked about Braden Fisk. He's a little older out of Florida State. A lot of mocks have him still there. Chris Jenkins out of Michigan, don't sleep him. But when we did the mock draft simulator every day this week, Mason Smith was our third-round pick. Something about him. D tackle at LSU. He just seems to be the name that keeps coming back. Tavondre Sweat is still there, but he's got off the field issues. And then there's Michael Hall.
I got my eye on him. I was just going to say.
Ohio State, but now there's things starting to trickle out about Michael Hall. That some teams have taken him off his draft board for one reason or another. I don't know. Maybe you slide him right in there. We'll see. D tackle actually I'm still all in on receiver. That's still my pick. But as I was going through that receiver list and going, all right, I take this guy here, I take this guy there. Bro, I do the same thing with D tackle, and I realized Chris Jenkins, Mason Smith. Again, what you think or not about Tavondre Sweat could still be. Now I'm starting to circle that and going, all right, there's going to be some D tackles there for the Cleveland Browns. I think about the needs of this team. I've long said the nice thing about the Cleveland Browns, this team is built. You don't need a starter. You don't need to go out there and draft a quarterback that you already paid for one and go draft him in the 8th overall pick. We'll get to that in a second. You really do not have a starting position up for grabs. Outside of linebacker, which I think has really cooled a lot at that 54. Trust me, I'd take Jeremiah Trotter Jr. I'd be happy, but maybe you see if he slips to the 3rd round. We'll see. There really are no positions that are open for a starting job. Good. Keep it that way. That's fine. So you go back to the mentality of best player available, which I've said forever. Don't forget, it's still the best player available for your team. What does your team need? The best player for your team. But then also Andrew Berry always saying we approach this as an expansion draft. It's expansion team. That then comes back to trading back. Because as much as I sit here and I think that there is a really solid pool of players. I do believe that at 54, even through 20 picks, knowing, I don't know if you're going to get another quarter. Who's the best quarterback available still? Spencer Rattler. There you go. So even if you maybe get more linemen are going to go, more corners are going to go, Kool-Aid is still there. I get it. Those guys are going to go. You're going to get a nice pool of players. Well, then Andrew Berry, being the wise man that he is, would sit there and say, there's a good pool of players here at 54. Some of those guys might still be available at 63, at 68, at 71. And I can get more picks. Because if you truly approach this like an expansion team, boom, you're short on picks. You're this year. Next year, okay. When I say that, it just gets into my brain about what Deshaun Watson might be or not. And if you do got to get out of that and you do got to go find a quarterback, you want as many picks as you can get your hands on. You want to be greedy as hell and get as many picks as you can. That's where the more trade kind of helps out. It's a two-sided coin. Where I sit here and feel good about the guys that are going to fall to the Browns because of how the first round played out, you feel good about, okay, there's a guy there for them to pick. But the flip side is there are a lot of good guys to pick. You can get a couple more if you trade back 10 spots or you trade back here and there. The thing is what that team does with that pick. You give up 54 and they take Troy Franklin or they take a receiver, Jalen Polk, that you really want, then I think people might have, at least I would sit there and go, man, what a miss. But I still think a good chunk of those guys might be there 10 picks later. That's the battle for Andrew Berry. Here's the thing. You don't know, I don't know, and neither does Berry, because you got to see how these picks play out. You're not 5 tonight. You're 20. You're 20 into this thing tonight. There's still a lot to be had. And I will say, I don't know, how many, I'm putting this on you, which is unfair. How many trades did we get last night? Here, let me see if I can find it real quick. Outside of like knowing that the Bears had the first overall pick, I'm talking about on the call. So you had them, you had the Vikings and Jets flip. That was one.
Vikings dealt a couple times.
Right. Then they trade again 17. Jacksonville, Detroit, Kansas City, Arizona, Dallas. I think you had about, 5 trades, 6 trades last night?
Sounds about right.
Seems about right for what it is. That picks up a little later in the draft sometimes, too, because you're talking about lesser value on some of these picks. But it wasn't some crazy, I'll put it this way, even with that many trades, I didn't feel like last night was some trade-heavy first round that will then bleed into the second round. It wasn't something that everybody was wheeling and dealing here, because what I'm saying is, if you had more trades, the phones would be hot. Teams would be more apt to move because they've already had a lot of conversations. Don't forget, too, this is still a people business. Teams deal with other teams sometimes based on personal relationships. The Browns have made trades with Philadelphia before. Why? That's where Andrew Berry came from. This is still people making these decisions. And there are other teams that when another team calls, they go blank off. I don't like working with you. Can't forget, you have a lot of other Browns former executives. Kwesi up there in Minnesota. There's still people making these decisions. So the fact that you had some trades but not an overwhelming amount, the phones are a little hot, though. At least there's communications being had. Browns have all their trades laid out. Andrew Berry will be on the phone all day today with general managers, preparing potential trades, gauging interest. Because the other thing, Bohm, we heard a lot of smoke before the draft last night about a lot of teams, wanting to move up. You had so many, and especially later in the draft, of teams that wanted to move up. You heard the Rams were hot and heavy because they finally got a first-round pick. Kansas City did move up to go get Xavier Worthy. 49ers were able to get Pearsall. There was a lot of teams that wanted to move. So I feel like the prime is there. The prime is there for a potential trade for the Browns. So our Twitter question is up at Matt Fontana Show. Second one for the morning here. Call your shot for the Browns tonight in the second round of the draft. Do you think they're going to go wide receiver? Do you think they're going to trade back? You like D-tack? You like offensive tackle? Any of that? Boom. Cast your vote, please.
So let me bounce this off.
Sure.
So I'm about to post the poll. But
Yep.
What I'm thinking is saying, just because I feel like they could totally catch us off guard and go like linebacker. I've even heard just some buzz towards maybe not in round 2, but running back being a potential option.
I've heard that a lot too.
So, because we only get 4 options in these Twitter polls.
Yeah.
Thinking of rephrasing it as like if Cleveland does not trade back, which position will they select?
Okay.
And then going wide receiver, D-line, O-line, or other.
I like that. Yeah, that's the thing. And I'd like to get, I think the trade back can be a hard question too, because Who knows? You don't know what's going to lay there or not. Are you feeling the trade back at all? Are you feeling the vibe?
It's Andrew Barry.
It's kind of ticking up for me a little bit.
I mean, trading back
a little bit.
It's
here.
always on brand for AB.
Well, and the other thing, this is paralysis by analysis because we've had so long to sit here. We had to go through all last night, sitting here just waiting for this pick. So here's the other thing. I want them to make a pick to satisfy me. I'm hungry right now, and I want them to make a pick so I have something to chew on. Now, I will never be somebody, Bowman, you know this about me, to sit there and go, draft grades, go, hey. How the hell do you know? Drafted that guy 10 minutes ago. Oh, draft grade A. Oh, really? Oh, okay. And I get that there's guys that fall or you make the savvy move. I think draft grades 10 minutes after the pick is made are sometimes hilarious. So therefore, you will probably not be getting that here on this show.
Yeah, it's just like it's not fair to make draft grades. And it feels like there are teams that win in draft grades every single year. They have like a 4.0 cumulative GPA of draft grades. And then it's like they go out on the field and, a big chunk of these guys aren't really delivering.
Oh, wait a minute. This guy isn't the pro you thought he was going to be. Oh, wait, the medical. There's so many things that could show up. So you get your draft grades. It's fun. Overall, I do think the Browns are in a pretty good spot. Let's recap the first round. Caleb Williams, Jaden Daniels, Drake May, not a shock at all. I know there was some scuttlebutt about what the Patriots were going to do. You sit back. The smartest team right now, Bohm, I have to tell you, is the Arizona Cardinals. You stuck, you take him. Here's the thing, man. There's a world, and I know that there is a mountain on Marvin Harrison Jr. about expectations and all that. There is a legitimate case that one day he is worth 3 first-round picks. So even if you got that trade offer, I would have still rebuffed it. I would have taken him just as they did. Smart, really smart. This guy fell to your lap. You take him, whatever you think Kyler Murray is going to be or not, and then boom, this one's just for you. Did you see Ohio State's tweet this morning? No school has more first-round wide receivers drafted than the Ohio State University. Can you guess the number? The number of first-round picks that that Ohio State has had at wide receiver all time.
All time. Okay, so is it anywhere near 20?
Not quite 20.
Okay, I'll say final answer 17.
12, which is still really good. And I'm trying. They put a graphic up, and this goes like way back in the day. I wish they put the list out. I'd love to know the list. You know what I mean? Like we know Garrett Wilson, Chris Olave, sure.
Webster Slaughter.
I think he's on this list. No joke. Ohio State first round wide receivers. Oh, I got it. Are you ready? You're now Paul Warfield. Okay, so here's the full list. You ready?
Yeah, that was it.
Paul Warfield, Joey Galloway, who was so good in college, Terry Glenn too, David Boston, Michael Jenkins, Santonio Holmes, our friend Ted Ginn Jr. I forgot Anthony Gonzalez. Was he not like 32nd overall to the Colts?
Yeah, right around there. The Senator.
That's right. Garrett Wilson, Chris Olave, Jackson Smith-Njigba, and now Marvin Harrison.
That list is only going to continue to grow, too.
Well, and it's weird. They had a little gap there. Gonzalez and Ginn in 07, they didn't get a first-round wide receiver until 2022 with Garrett Wilson.
Oh, wow. That's a
gap. That's a gap.
By the way, this is just kind of a little sidebar of an annoyance from like the broadcast. Them talking about, I heard during the ESPN broadcast, they were talking about how like LSU is becoming wide receiver U again. I don't think so.
Well, and that, like, you're right, just on that list of the last couple of years, because then you apply to what these guys are in the pros. Like, Garrett Wilson is a stud. Chris Olave is really good. Now, they got to get there. I don't know, man. LSU is really tough because you start with, like, Jarvis and Odell. Then you get into Justin Jefferson, Jamar Chase. That's kind of hard to deny right now. And then what you maybe expect out of some of the guys like Malik Neighbors. It's one of those two. I think it's so top-heavy because there's no receiver better in football right now than Justin Jefferson. Would you agree with that?
I would concur.
Yeah. So, like, when he's that top-heavy, then if you even wanted to give me Garrett Wilson, now here's the thing. Marvin Harrison could come in and just rewrite all of this. There's, like, you know, obviously we're Ohio State fans. We watched him so much. And with his dad, I get it. He's probably as well primed as you could be. And he's not a quarterback. Because, Bohm, if he was a quarterback, he would be the most hyped prospect ever. ever if he was a quarterback. Wide receiver, I do feel, I would say bad, but just watching the pressure that's going to be on Marvin Harrison. But you're going to Arizona where at least you got Kyler Murray. You've got some other weapons there. So I do really wish the best there for Marvin Harrison. I was a little shocked the Chargers didn't trade out of 5. They just wanted to take Joe Alt. Everybody knew they would, but they didn't make the move. Malik Neighbors to the Giants, that was kind of for sure. Offensive line there, I thought over for J.C. Latham. I really did. I thought he was going to slip out of the top 10 there because I really thought Fashanu was going to be the next lineman taken, but it is Latham there. And then the move of the night, Michael Penix. Today, everybody's going, well, what the hell are you doing? You just paid Kirk Cousins. I kind of see what Atlanta was doing. That offense, could you take in a Rome there? Roma Dunze? Maybe. Could you take in an offensive line? Maybe. What screamed to me there, Bohm, was, because everybody thought, what? Dallas Turner, right? The DN coming out of Alabama. What did last night tell you? That this defensive group is not as good as you think it is. It really isn't. The draft tells you the truth. So they probably sat there and said, yeah, if there's no defensive players worth having, we're not taking Brock Bowers. You already got Kyle Pitts, even though that didn't really stop, the Raiders because they have Michael Mayer there. I would have taken Rome, but they go with Penix. I guess when you fall in love with a guy. Now, I tweeted this out this morning. I want to say it again here on the show. For Kirk Cousins to get pissed off, for his agent to go, well, they never told us. They cut you or will cut you $100 million worth of guaranteed money. Who gives a damn what they do? You're 35 years old, coming off an Achilles injury. They gave you $100 million of fully guaranteed money. Who gives a damn what they do? Just make sure that check clears, bro. And also, let's just be real and shoot you straight here. Kirk, you're not Patrick Mahomes. You don't get they should have told me ahead of time. You just got there, man. You are not some legacy franchise quarterback that deserves for them calling you to tell you what they're going to do and not. Shut up. Shut up.
Yeah, also coming off that season-ending injury. It was shocking at first, but it kind of does make sense.
It makes a lot of sense because here's probably what the Falcons are thinking. We got $100 million tied up there. That's 2 years at $50 million. That's fine. And I know Fontana came out and said kind of the same thing. Oh, yeah, in a perfect world, Michael Penix sits for 4 years. Yeah, it is no different than maybe Patrick Mahomes, than maybe Jordan Love, Aaron Rodgers, Brett Favre. And the thing is, boom, Kirk Cousins is nowhere near the level, in my opinion, that Brett Favre was, that Aaron Rodgers was, and maybe on the level of Alex Smith when he was in Kansas City and they drafted Patrick Mahomes. But, for people, I'm not for a second. Now, the move itself maybe is shocking for a second. I think when you do, like you said, I think when you really take a step back, you kind of understand, all right, that works a little bit. The thing is, the race for these teams to get your quarterback playing under the rookie deal. One of the things that is a hot trend in the NFL, we hear so much about you got to win while your quarterback's on a rookie deal. You got to take advantage of those cheap years. You don't do that if he sits for 2 years. So that is a little twist of what the Falcons are going against the grain, right? C.J. Stroud, starting right away. J.J. McCarthy is going to start right away. Bo Nix is going to start right away. And there's two schools of thought. You throw them out there, they take their lumps. You hope they don't get injured like Joe Burrow did in Cincinnati, but they learn the game, and they pick it up, and they're better for it in year 3. Not now, not next year, but in year 3, they're better for that. Well, you're not going to get that with Penix. He ain't going to play. He's not going to play. So you are taking the sitting of Jordan Love, the sitting of Mahomes just for the year, and that's the tack they're going to take with Penix. So that doesn't shock me so much. It's the people thinking that Kirk Cousins was due some sort of heads up. Really, Kirk? Really? I get that you feel like that's a shot. You feel like that's a disrespectful thing. You are 35 years old, coming off of an Achilles injury. They gave you $100 million. I don't care what they do. Seriously, if I was Kirk Cousins, in my press conference, whenever he sits down for OTA availability, and they go, well, what'd you think? Like, I don't care. I'm happy he's, you got to give the right answer, right? Of, I'm happy Michael's here and I'll help him out the best that I can, all that kind of stuff. Deep down, I don't care. Kirk Cousins, I'm sure, felt like he had another 5 years in the tank and be one of these guys that plays into their 40s. You got 2 years at this juncture, at this job. You can do a lot worse, man. You could do a lot worse, let alone all the money that Kirk Cousins. That's the one thing about Kirk Cousins. Dude, the obscene amount of money that he has made in his career. I mean, good for him. That's great. I wouldn't care at all. I would not care in the least about what this team does. I know I'm the starting quarterback for this season, and I'm getting a buttload of money. What else do you need? You want future security? How about this? Go out there and ball out. You go out there and lead them to a 14-3 record and the number 1 seed in the NFC. I don't think they're going to Michael Penix. Create that problem. Create the issue. And then the Falcons can just trade away Kirk Cousins like they did. And again, I'm not ever going to make the comparison to Kirk Cousins to Aaron Rodgers. They're two completely different players. But in 2 years, trade them away. Yeah, trade them away. Pick up a second-round pick. Pick whatever you want to some team that'll draft or want to trade for a 37-year-old quarterback, even with all that money. I think the Falcons are, again, when you take a step back of the initial shock of it, it makes a lot of sense. And Penix, if that is the tact you're going to play as sitting a guy, go with a guy that potentially has a lot of upside. What is the knock on Michael Penix, though? Injury. That is the thing. So I saw that tweet about a lot of people. So you're telling me you signed a 35-year-old quarterback coming off a major injury and then drafted with a top 10 pick a quarterback that has a lengthy injury history in college. Maybe that doesn't work so much. But if you're going to take somebody on the upside, I would have taken Penix. I would have done the same thing.
I asked this half jokingly, but what are the odds that we see a 2 quarterback package this year?
Him just running it or running in, something like that? I don't know, man.
Yeah, just have Kirk pitch it out. Penix goes out wide.
Oh, it's Raheem Morris. I was like, who's the new coach down there? It's Raheem Morris.
Yeah.
So he's a defensive guy. So you'd have to find some of the offense. I don't even know who the OC is for the Falcons. Falcons OC. Oh, it's Zach Robinson. Zach Robinson, longtime Rams.
Oklahoma State quarterback.
Oklahoma State guy. I remember him. Oh, yeah. There it is. Then a little the other shock is Bo Nix going to the Broncos. I say a little shock, Bo, because I just felt like the Broncos probably could have gotten him later. But if it's truly that, I don't know what he was drinking, if he's on the ayahuasca like Aaron Rodgers. But if Sean Payton really felt like Bo Nix was comparable to Patrick Mahomes, then you go up and you make that move. They had no choice but to take a quarterback. For all these other teams that I thought might take one, they were the one team that I go, you better take one because you're not starting Zach Wilson. It ain't going to be Jarrett Stidham. A little shocked that it's Bo Nix. I don't know if here's the thing. What's the best thing about Bo Nix? What does everybody talk about with Bo Nix? He set the NCAA record for completion percentage. Watching some of those Oregon games, I don't know if that was all Bo Nix. That was a lot of smart offensive play calling. You had some good receivers. But when I see passes at 5 and 7 yards and you're just dinking and dunking and getting a lot of completion, I know somebody will tweet me about his deep ball completion percentage, and I get it, fine, whatever. That was a little misnomer for me, where it's like, okay, I'm going to evaluate him as a quarterback, but don't start with the completion percentage that I think was a little fabricated. I think it was a little fabricated with that offense that they were, especially when how fucking high it was. It was an insane completion percentage for him. That being said, they're in that full rebuild there. You better hope Bo Nix can fight through that, because the Broncos they're going to be a really bad team this year. And I know the defense has some players. They get rid of Judy clearly. I know Courtland Sutton wants out of there. You're in that full rebuild mode, almost like Cincinnati. You hope that your rookie quarterback can persevere through that and come out the other side as the guy that you believe. It's just the day after the draft, Sean Payton dropping that I think he's Patrick Mahomes. That's him trying to call off the dogs. That's him trying to push back some of the people in Denver. Like, what? Now, Denver's probably jacked. They took a quarterback, the fans. But that one was like, all right, it kind of makes a little sense there.
Yeah, now I get that you're trying to sell a new guy to your fan base, but when you make a comparison that bold, I just can't help think that that's going to kind of blow up in your face at some point or another.
Yeah.
That's going to come back to bite him.
Again, not a comparison to a guy that's just pretty decent. You're talking about the best quarterback in the NFL right now, future Hall of Famer. Patrick
No pressure,
Mahomes.
Bo.
No pressure. Good luck with that. Boom. Anything else as we get ready to go for hour 2 coming up? Anything big from the? I know Penix was probably the big story. Any other trends? Anything else that you really jumped and grabbed onto out of round 1?
Well, I think the biggest surprise at the tail end of the draft for me, not even biggest surprise, but it's like, here we go, was for one, the Kansas City Chiefs trading with Buffalo, no less, who like Buffalo, it felt like they can't get that monkey off their back of taking down Kansas City in the playoffs. And then you get Kansas City up there and they take the guy who, look, a lot of times drafting a guy who runs a ridiculous 40 time, like that's not a reason to take a receiver in the first round.
John Ross.
But we just talked about Patrick Mahomes. When you have Mahomes in the fold and then you bring a guy who is the fastest 40 time ever in Xavier Worthy, that scares me.
And I'll give you Andy Reid, too.
Yeah.
About just
sure.
even if it's truly the element of just, and I know it's Tyreek Hill, and again, I'm not trying to make these asinine comparisons we were just talking about, but taking the top off of that to open it up, I know Rashid Rice is off the field issues, but to open it back up for Kelsey. Oh, wait, by the way, the team that just won the Super Bowl, the rich get richer here. Even if he's a guy that's just running go routes to stretch things out there, that could really hurt. I think the receivers for me, I can't say I'm shocked by any, because it kind of played out the way that I thought it was, going to. I wondered if Ladd was going to go. And really, that's it. Maybe a Donnie Mitchell, maybe. Pearsall was a little bit of a shock, but just from my interest of the wide receivers, there was nobody in the first round that I didn't think was going to be a first-round pick. So that helps Andrew Berry, too. As he was preparing and running through everything to get going for this draft, it kind of went status quo from that standpoint. That helps you get ready for tonight. If it went status quo, as you've been preparing for weeks, Pearsall going was maybe the shock. Not shocked at all. Leggett went. Not shocked at all that Xavier Worthy, and I really never thought there was a question that Brian Thomas was going to go in the first round. He was going to. A little later than maybe I thought, but still, those are the guys you all thought were going to go, and they did.
By the way, did you happen to catch the interview with Brian Thomas's parents?
No.
After he got drafted? Oh, so his father is all emotional and stuff and excited, basically in tears. And then the mother, they asked her like something along the lines of, talk about how far you've come. And she's like, we came from Baton Rouge, Louisiana.
That's great.
Priceless.
All the way up to Detroit, baby. I love it. What do you think of the setup? I was kind of critical because we had it here, and I know that we had it the year after COVID, and that kind of put a damper on everything. I want the draft back in Cleveland.
Oh, yeah.
The stage looked fine. I thought it was funny that they had to come out before and say, hey, Goodell just had surgery. Do not pick him up. Leave him alone, okay? But then when they'd go to the wide shot, I don't mean to crap on Detroit. There's a lot of similarities. There's sometimes a little rivalry. Yes, the Mike Polk, at least we're not Detroit. I get it. Didn't do it for me. Didn't it look weird that it was just in between a couple of buildings? I'm talking about the way wide shot, the one that was way out. I couldn't place it. At least when it was here in Cleveland, it was right next to the stadium. The Rock Hall was right there. You could place it. Bro, and I haven't spent a lot of time in Detroit. It looked like they just sandwiched it in between two buildings. I don't know, it looked weird. It didn't look great. I don't know.
You know, it didn't have the same like aesthetic pleasure for me as it did in Cleveland.
Yeah.
That being said, I mean, a record turnout.
I'll tell you even more. Even like Nashville, where they shot in like, oh, here's the street, and everybody's just out there partying. It looked like it was just in a weird spot. To your point, though, obviously it didn't matter because they had an amazing turnout for that. I think a couple twofold. Number one, Midwest is always the key there. It's easy for people to get to. It's still a major enough city that people can easily get to it. The thing is, which I'm a little shocked by that, because again, I'm not trying to crap on Detroit. What else are you going to do? You went to the draft, Bohm. You wake up this morning. What are you going to go do? What time are the Tigers even home? Could they even handle the Tigers being at home right now? Probably their only sellout of the year. No, they're in Kansas City because they're probably like, get out of town. Like, we can't even have you. You wake up, you got two things to do. Go stare at the lake or go to the casino. It's going to be a busy.
See the birthplace of Motown?
I guess you could.
Eat some Detroit style.
I was gonna say,
pizza.
go get some pizza. Go get some Detroit style pizza.
Where does Detroit style pizza rank on your rankings of like you got Chicago deep dish, you got your New York?
I feel like Chicago. You either love or hate that.
I love it.
I love it. I love it.
Some people are thin crust people. And
well,
that's okay.
and they like it's not a pizza, lasagna. They think it's a lasagna. We're talking about Chicago. Detroit style for me is it's just a pan pizza, is it not?
Yeah,
am I missing that?
It seems really basic.
It
like,
kind of
is. That
is.
stands out about
I
it.
know that there's this groundswell to get a Cleveland style pizza going. Shout out to Ohio Pie Company; they're delicious. They got good pie, but it's like I'll put it this way. Probably to your question, I think there's New York and Chicago, and that's it. I really don't even almost accept a Detroit style because it's just a pan pizza. Now, that being said, I like pan pizza. I do.
Yeah, I'm with you. They're all great. Pizza is pizza. It has to be pretty freaking bad for me not to eat it.
Have you ever had a bad? No, you've had just better slices. You've never really had even when it's bad, it's still good. Even when it's bad, it's still good. That's usually how pizza rolls. So, yeah, Little Caesars with record, and that's not even really Detroit style, but Little Caesars with a record weekend up there in Detroit with the draft. All right, great stuff. Good recap. We got a lot more to get to with the Browns as we get geared up for tonight with their pick. We got more guards to talk about. We'll get to our Typico boost coming up. NBA playoffs. Oh, it's going to be such a great weekend of sports. We got everything for you, hour 2. Time up. We'll get to the grid. We'll get to the morning update. Folks, Typico. I had some fun with that imperfect parlay. Here's what you do. You go to Typico, download the app. Sorry, I got our Guardians boost, hang on, let me see if it's up. Boosts? Here it is, folks. Yes, our boost is up 289. That's how it is right now with Typico. 3-leg boost for the Guardians tonight. Guardians plus a run and a half against the Braves. Over 4.5 Logan Allen strikeouts and just 1 Josh Naylor hit, boosted to almost plus 300 right there on Typico. Get signed up, get it done, 289, boom, in there, and I'm on my way to, boom. My next bet will get me a little cashback parlay right there on Typico. I tell you about the cashback parlay. Over $1 million of cashback money sent out to the bettors of Typico just last month. Cashback rewards is super easy. All you do is bet like you normally would. Cashbacks toll. They're in there. They're easy to see. It is the best. The other thing about Typico is the imperfect parlay. Here's your example, right? You want to go to the NBA tonight. We have 3 games. Bucks, Pacers, Clippers, Mavericks, and the Suns and the Timberwolves. I'll get into my bets later on, okay? But just as an example, Boom, you like the Pacers minus 6.5 tonight? Sure, why not?
Why
6.5.
not?
Clippers, Mavericks, 4.5 for Dallas. I actually like Dallas minus the 4.5 there. Timberwolves, Suns. I've lost a lot of money on the Suns, buddy.
Oh,
And I got a thing about the Phoenix Suns. I will take the Timberwolves plus 155. I got a 3-leg parlay that is plus 844, Mo. I just want 2 of those 3 things to hit. I'm still at plus 114. You are still at plus money.
Sitting pretty.
Oh, for just 2 out of the 3. That's the imperfect parlay on Typico. That's how it rolls. I love it. That's my favorite thing going. And again, you can even sprinkle in other sports. You could do a 7-leg parlay, 8-leg parlay. You just want a couple of those legs to hit, you're still in the cash. Actually, you want to know what? I'm betting that. And I get a cashback parlay. Let's go. I just hit my cashback. That's right. $5 in cashback earned. Dude, let's roll. We're in with Typico.
Cha-ching.
Let's go. Use that code Fontana100. When you sign up, deposit and bet $25 with the code Fontana100 on any game that you want, any bet that you want. As soon as it's done, you get $100 in bonus bets right in your account. Terms and conditions apply. If you have a gambling problem, please call 1-800-GAMBLER, and then it's for new customers only. But then you take those bonus bets, dive into the boosts, dive into the imperfect parlay. It's all right there with Typico. Check it out using that code Fontana100. Don't forget to later today, Big Play Big Bets with Dave and Nick doing all the bets for the weekend. That's always a fun show to watch. Presented by Typico. All right, let's catch a break. Bohm's got the morning update. We'll mess around with the grid this morning. Time hop, draft, Cavs, guards. Beautiful Friday right here on Big Play.
Well, how do they know I'm doing this? Did somebody leak this out?
It's social media.
Oh.
It's just, that's the way social media works now.
I thought maybe you were just running that yap.
Big Play, a sports media team that started back in 2014, and now we're not in a garage. Look at us, incorporating some of Cleveland's favorite sports personalities, bringing you fun and compelling content from downtown Cleveland. Coming to you live from the shores of Lake Erie and Burke Lakefront Airport, join Team Big Play for all the best sports talk in Ohio. Check us out on social media at Big Play, bringing you fun and compelling content from downtown Cleveland.
Anthony Schlegel, just how physical he was. You saw the girth and the power and everything he was bringing to the table, especially when he was a nice beefy 255 playing middle linebacker.
We were called soft last year. You don't want to be soft, especially when you come to the playoffs. So that's going to be a process throughout this season of establishing us as a harder team here in the
How does an Ohioan build the perfect parlay?
Who's got something? Big guys looking for long odds. The kids in Columbus are covering better than anyone. And at even odds. If it's even, I'm leaving. Listen, our championship DVD starts today. All right? Dude, I just got an invite to a Cincy playoff watch party. Shut up. Cincy, State, Cleveland, the perfect parlay. I'm a genius.
For the best odds on Ohio sports, bet with your cojones.
It is Spanish, dummy.
Bet with Typical Sportsbook.
I don't buy into this nonsense, this conspiracy nonsense that he's got his money and he's dogging it. That's ridiculous.
I don't know why, Bowman's like hitting me. Like, these are the sports, like, mecca type of days and weekends that you just get up for. Draft, NBA playoffs, guards with, oh man, what a series in Atlanta. My wife will have to peel. That's not true because I have two kids and there's no way I'm going to be able to watch everything. But you'd have to, like, peel me away from the TV tonight and this weekend. It's going to be awesome. It's going to be great. We got plenty of stories to discuss. Michael Boehm's got him. We call it the Morning Update. Take it away, Boehm.
All right, Matt. Well, we start things off, or kick things off, rather, with the NFL draft. And so I want to begin right with that first overall pick, Caleb Williams going to the Bears. And then at pick 9, they take Rome Odunze, the wide receiver out of Washington. Now, I want to ask you, because Chicago, of all franchises in the NFL, Matt, might be the most cursed when it comes to the quarterback position. They've never really had any true sustained success at the QB position in Chi-Town. Now, you already have DJ Moore, you bring in Rome, and of course you draft Caleb Williams. Do you expect Caleb Williams to be the one to end the Chicago quarterback curse?
So I'm glad you brought that up because I think it's super interesting about Ryan Poles. So he's the general manager there in Chicago. I think he is on much more firm standing than Matt Eberflus is as the head coach. Now, I say that to say this. If Caleb Williams is a bust, it will cost Ryan Poles his job. That doesn't sound that shocking when I say it. Here's the point, Ryan, or Boehm, talking about Caleb. I took me an hour. I knew I was going to do it eventually, but it took me an hour. It's more than I thought it was going to be.
That's okay.
Boehm, here's my point. That Ryan Poles had his hands tied. How were you not going to take Caleb Williams? So it's almost like if I'm going to go down, I might as well go down with an evaluation that I screwed up. or something that I actually messed up. This one was so set in stone. It was so, this is the path that you're going to go down, and you feel helpless. Now, again, it's up to him on who he picked, and I like the Rome pick a lot. I think that was a really good one. Great. But the fact is, you had no choice. It was forced upon you to take Caleb Williams because they would have rioted if they didn't, right? And now you're just putting it all on him that he's going to be the guy that you hope and believe is going to your point, and this curse and be the quarterback that you think. There's so much pressure on Caleb Williams. I had this debate with a lot of people. I was texting last night, right? How in any world can he actually live up to those expectations? They are so lofty where he could even become a pretty good quarterback and still, wow, number one, and oh, wait, he was supposed to be this, he was supposed to be that. So much pressure on him. And I'm not sitting here rooting for him to fail. I frankly don't really care. I'll meet the Bears in the Super Bowl one day. That's just fine with me. But it's the fact that Ryan Poles, the general manager, his career is tied to a guy that he really had no choice in taking or not. And I know people are like, oh, no, he could have taken. No. This was all Caleb Williams all the way. And the evaluation tells you what? All these things about the off schedule and he can make plays even when the play breaks down and throws and accuracy and all that kind of stuff. But I look at him and I say, dude, he was actually better a year ago when he won the Heisman, right? Last year was not quite the year, whether he packed it in or USC struggles. I get all of that. I know he was the number one overall pick. I know he's the consensus number one overall pick. I don't know if he's the greatest prospect I've ever seen. And if you're talking about upside, that's maybe where I lead Jane Daniels. But a lot of things with him, a lot of questions around him. I think Washington it's just the fact that really the first three picks were wired. I know that the Patriots were snooping around trying to maybe find somebody, ask for a king's ransom. They did the right thing. I don't know if Drake May's going to be anything. I don't know if Jane Yale's going to be anything. But the hype around these guys were immense. For Chicago, you had no choice. You take him. You got to put some players around and hopefully turn him into the right guy.
Yeah, and with particularly with Caleb Williams, like he kind of dropped a lot in my book over the course of this year, and I don't put that all on him. His offensive line was atrocious. His defense wasn't doing him any favors. But I am kind of like that at the addition of Rome coming alongside Caleb. I am excited to see what that offense can become.
Oh, yeah, it's intriguing.
I do feel bad for Justin Fields, now you get him weapons. But I digress.
I would have been in on Justin Fields, too. I would not have probably traded him away. I would have rolled it out with him. I think a big part of it was the money. We talk about, like, you're going to get Caleb Williams on this rookie deal now. You can kind of hit that soft reset, but there's still going to be a lot of pressure. There's still a lot of pressure on him. And, again, I think you could have worked with Justin Fields, but, oh, well. They made the move.
Oh, well, indeed. So, sticking with the quarterback position, and I guess just looking at those all six quarterbacks drafted in the first round. So we mentioned Williams, Jaden Daniels going to Washington, Drake May to New England, Michael Penix to Atlanta, Bo Nix going to Denver, J.J. McCarthy to Minnesota. Now, I want to ask, which of these situations do you think will be the toughest one for a rookie quarterback to come into?
Ooh, toughest. I thought you were going to ask easiest. Because easiest, I might actually say Drake May. I would not start him. You got Jacoby Brissett. Don't start him. Don't do it. There's no pressure on Gerard Mayo up there right now. New England, you got done with time. And usually I'm for starting rookie quarterbacks. Drake May is one that this is not even a competition. This is Jacoby Brissett's job. We will revisit that midway through. I won't even say the end of the season, Bohm. We will revisit this midway through the season. Maybe we get you some tick. Maybe we get you in there. But really, get in here, get after it, get working. Drake May is the one that I think is actually in the best situation. Now, to your point, the most volatile situation, your gut would say Bo Nix, would it not? Because you would say you're going to Denver. There's a lot of pressure with new ownership. You just got out of at this point, the worst deal in NFL history with Russ Wilson, what you gave up with the money, the dead cap, and all that. The issue is you have no weapons there, really, relatively, not that many weapons. But I don't think there's a lot of pressure there. It's kind of an understanding that this might be a down year. Same thing for Washington. So that gets me to J.J. McCarthy and the Minnesota Vikings. Bro, you're throwing to the best receiver in football. They got Jordan Addison. They've got an offense with T.J. Hawkinson, too. Who's the running back? They were not Alexander Madison. He left. But anyway. There's pressure there. And Kevin O'Connell's ass might be on the fire, on the hot seat this season coming up. I think J.J. McCarthy's in the worst situation. And that's funny because you'd say, you're throwing a Justin Jefferson, Jordan Addison? What do you mean? It's the fact that there's the most amount of pressure there. And they'll expect him to start. They will expect him to start over Sam Darnold. So I think J.J. McCarthy is in the most pressure-filled situation. So that's why I would say the worst. Chicago, fine. Washington, yeah, they'll start Jane Daniels, but I think it's just more about not getting him hurt there. Again, if I was New England, I would sit Drake May. Bo Nix will play in Denver, but they don't have anything. So I really come back to J.J. McCarthy. I actually think being in the worst situation, even though he's probably going to the best offense. Literally, of all of those teams, of Denver, New England, Washington, and maybe Chicago. But still, I would say Minnesota's got a better offense than Chicago right now. So he's going to the best situation that I say would actually probably maybe the worst because it's the most pressure-filled.
Yeah, and I honestly, I could see any of them being. It just really depends how things play out.
Dude, that's rookie quarterbacks, man. And that's when you're talking about turning the tide, which we saw with Baker. They're turning a tide in Chicago. They're certainly turning a tide up there in New England. But you're not putting that all in Drake May, in my opinion.
No.
You're... I don't want to say turning the tide in Minnesota, but you're just trying to bridge this gap, which is why I'm shocked they didn't go get a veteran guy.
Though I want to say the whole
Darnold.
Jaden Daniels thing kind of rubs me the wrong way. There's just this air of incompetence. You remember the story of how they took all these prospects to Topgolf?
Yeah.
And that was the official visit interview process.
Well, the thing, and you and I know where you're going with this, and you're right with me. You know what's going to sink them is a meddling owner. And Josh Harris is fingers in this pie, man. Down to the bottom. All the way down. What's your favorite kind of pie? I don't apple.
Ooh.
Apple just
Apple's right up there. I love a good peach pie.
Peach.
Blueberry is good too.
Can't tell you last time I've had a good blueberry pie.
Oh.
I had a thought about blueberry ice cream the other day. My kids love blueberries, so they're gonna turn into Violet from Wonka. He eats nothing but blueberries. So I'm like, man, is there good blueberry ice cream out there?
There's gotta be.
Somebody give me a call. They gotta be. Mitchell's is always great. Bro, what's the one?
Jenny's?
No. Oh, I do know Jen, but not Handel's.
Graders?
Graders is good. What's the one in not Tremont? It's on the west side. It's West 65th. They do the ramen noodles.
What?
Yes.
I'm an East Sider. This is news to me.
Okay, sorry. There's a place. Oh my God. It's a little shop, and in the summer they do ice cream, and then in the winter they flip it over and do ramen noodle. Mason's. That's what it is. Mason's Creamery, buddy. They got some good ice cream there at Mason's.
Talk about range. Wow, from ramen to ice cream.
Yes. Opens at 2:00 today. I love it. That's very good ice cream. But anyway, give me a little blue. How the hell are we starting all this? Oh, we're talking about pie. Oh, yeah. Josh Harris has got his fingers just so far into this. That very rarely works at a start. So you got two schools of thought here. You either go full Jerry Jones, showing me started on the Cowboys, and you say, hey, man, this is my thing, and I'm going to run this, and I'm going to do it my way. Or, like a lot of other owners, you come in with those thoughts, and a couple years in, you figure this is not the way. To be honest and to be fair, I think that was the Haslams. When they started out, they go, we got to be involved here. And then they realize, you know what? We actually don't. And I will tell you this, I will always give them credit for that. I'm not saying they didn't make mistakes. I'm not saying that they didn't pay for their mistakes, but they learned. And we're in a better spot as a football team for that. So I thank Jimmy and Dee for that. They had to learn. It wasn't their fault. They didn't know. It's the first time as being primary owners. I know they're minority owners with the Steelers. They learned. And are we not in a better spot by now? Say what you want about Paul DePodesta. They stepped aside and said, we are going to empower the smart people in this. I'm not saying the Haslams are smart either. They're geniuses. They turned it over to the right people. And they said, you are now the stewards of our franchise. Doesn't mean we're not going to be overseeing this. Doesn't mean that we're not going to be involved, up to date on stuff. But we're not going to be sitting in the draft room telling you what to do. Josh Harris is going to learn that, I think, in a hard way, buddy. I think he's going to learn that in a hard way. And I hope he doesn't ruin Gene Daniels.
Yeah, no.
I hope he doesn't. I think he's so intriguing of a Lamar Jackson type that they feel like is a little more advanced as a passer than when Lamar came out. That's a scary dude. That's a scary quarterback. So I could listen to Jane. I think you're going on the right path here. That's a tough situation for him. It is. He's got some good weapons there, though. Got a couple.
Outside of the situation, it's also in college, he took a lot of contact.
He did, and then what did somebody say? Dude, he showed up at LSU at 170 pounds, 6'4", buck 70.
Realize.
So, yeah, he had to put some weight on. But you're right. You got to avoid the hits the best that you can. I guess Caleb Williams already picked his number. He tweeted out, "Duh, Bears." And he said, obviously, we're on our way, and a bear emoji, and then the number 18. So I guess go number 18.
All
Little
right.
Peyton Manning action.
Rocking the Maserati mob.
That's, you know me and Gus Johnson, but oh my God. Anyway.
You're not a fan?
I'm not.
I
Gus
love
is gone. He has jumped the shark 1,000 times.
He can be a little overly boisterous sometimes.
Yes,
I'll
there's
concede.
a little point to that. I don't know, 18 for a quarterback. I mean, you think Peyton Manning. There's something about single-digit quarterback numbers that I like. There's very few double-digit quarterback numbers that I like. Single-digit. But hey, each their own. I can't. He already set the record on Fanatics. You already set
wow.
the. Oh yeah, you already said it. The Bears fans were all, which is hilarious because everybody knew that was going to be the pick. They just had to officially wait. So we'll see. You know, here's a good tweet this morning. Shout out to Al Zeidenfeld. I've followed Al for a long time. He does a lot of fantasy work, ESPN, but he's really good on the betting stuff too. In his first year as the starter, Caleb Williams gets to throw to DJ Moore, Keenan Allen, Rome Odunze, and Cole Kmet. In Justin Fields' first year, he had Darnell Mooney, Equanimous St. Brown, Dante Pettis, Velus Jones, and Cole Kmet. I would say Caleb Williams is in a better spot. A little bit of a better spot there.
a little bit.
But you and I are Justin Fields apologists over here, so.
Yeah, I freaking hate that he went to Pittsburgh, of all places.
Yeah, but he probably ain't going to play there.
Yeah.
At least I hope he doesn't, but we'll see.
Yeah, me too. Fingers crossed.
Yeah, right.
But anyway, moving on. So this has been kind of an underlying storyline going into the draft, and nothing has culminated yet. Don't even know if it will, but the 49ers drafting wide receiver Ricky Purcell out of Florida. There were rumors that they were open to trading Brandon Ayuk and Deebo Samuel, and they were looking for a first-round pick. That was the initial thing. Now, I do want to ask, do you expect that maybe one of them will be dealt before the season? Do you think that one of them could net a day 2 pick?
So here's the thing. I will just say this to put it out on the record today that I would trade 54 for Deebo Samuel and not think twice. Here is your problem, Michael Bohm. He's got a $28.6 million cap hit for this season. The structure of his deal, all the money hits this year. Then there's a potential out, and then he's a free. Again, potential out. It's all these deals with the void years and all that kind of stuff. There's a potential out after the season. So you could be trading for a guy for 1 year at 28.6. Can't do that. Browns can't do that. But it then comes back to when this gets leaked out, how do you proceed? How do you go forward and look at Deebo or Brandon Ayuk? And I know Ayuk wants out. He wants out, does he not? Deebo maybe is a little bit different. Now, John Lynch could sit down and say, grow up, it's the NFL with it. I always go back to James Harden. When he was at that camp and he lit up Daryl Morey and he goes, he's a liar. He's a liar. But that is the world that you live in. And you don't want this stuff to come out because you'd like to just operate in the shadows and see if it comes to fruition, it comes to fruition, you trade them and you move on. But it tells you about the 49ers too, where I think, Bohm, they're looking at it to say, yeah, we're good, but we're not that good yet. Or we see the next evolution. What makes the Chiefs so damn good, they've had multiple evolutions, okay? They started out as Kadabra. Then they got to Abracadabra. Or Kadabra. Then they got to Alakazam, if you're a Pokemon fan out there.
One of my favorite evolutions of all Pokemon.
What was your favorite evolution? Mine was actually probably Geodude.
Ooh, what is it, Graveler?
Graveler into Golem, because everybody wanted Golem.
Okay, I do have a favorite now that you asked.
To digress for a second, this is much more important to talk about.
Ghastly into Haunter.
Yes.
Into Gengar.
Yes, that's it. Actually, I take all that back. Gengar you wanted.
I'm here for all the psychic Pokemon.
That's it. I'm sorry, I take that back. The best trick, because there were some that just evolved once. The triple evolution, 100%. Ghastly. Haunter, which I thought Haunter was cool on his own. He was my favorite of the three. Yeah, and then Gengar was cool. I always wanted a Nidoking, too. So you had to go Nidoran, Nidorino to Nidoking. Yeah. That one was pretty cool.
And that one, there was a lot up in the air with that because male or female, you didn't know
you can't agree. Now, we're all sleeping on the GOAT of Charizard. Everybody wanted Charizard. A Bulbasaur,
It's almost cliche,
Venusaur,
though,
Ivysaur.
going with one of the OG3.
Blastoise was always cool, too. Wartortle never hit for me. Wartortle was just kind of a wait. You had to go from Squirtle to Wartortle to Blastoise.
Now, how about the Eevee and all the different possibilities?
So that one I did because I cheated when I was playing. I had a cheat for unlimited rare candy and unlimited Master Ball, so I would just keep going over it again because I wanted to get all 151, which I did, by the way, and I still have it.
Congratulations.
Thank you very much. I'm very proud of that. Vaporeon almost seems so stupid. You know, because you had 3 options, right? You had Flareon, Vaporeon, and Jolteon, right? You could either fire, water, or electric.
In the
with
original
Eevee.
series. They expanded it in like later years.
I know nothing beyond the 151.
Yeah,
buddy.
same.
I know nothing beyond. I don't know Green. I don't know any of the new ones. My buddies are into the newer one. They sent me, actually, there's a game you could play with all your friends to get involved with Pokemon. I go, I'm out, bro. I'm out. Unless it's the 151, the OG one, I know nothing. Vaporeon was always weird. I think I always went Jolteon.
Jolteon was my favorite.
Yeah.
And yeah, you know what? I would have the same EV rankings as you then. So Flareon would be second, and then Vaporeon.
Yeah, I would agree with that.
Oh, man.
What are the other original Pokemon
Nostalgia running wild right now,
evolution? Isn't it?
I wonder if Ryan played Pokemon. He was a little younger than us.
So there's no way he did. I mean, I'm sure he did, but like generation
familiar.
All right. Okay. I can't believe we're doing this, but I just have to because we're here. All right. This is generation 1 of 3-level evolutions. I'm just going to give you the one that started, okay?
I love this list. Give it to me.
I know. Bulbasaur, Charmander, Squirtle we talked about. We slept on the Caterpie, Metapod, Butterfly, or Butterfree.
I did not like Metapod, though. The episodes of him on the show.
Then the second one, Weedle, Kakuna into Beedrill. Everybody wanted Beedrill, but you had to get through that awkwardness.
That middle form was useless.
Which was terrible. Oh, this one was good. Pidgey to Pidgeotto to Pidgeot.
Yeah.
Everybody wanted Pidgeot.
Oh, yeah.
Nidoran, Nidoqueen, we talked about that. See, some of these added other ones.
Okay.
Like, my OG was just Zubat to Golbat.
Oh, there's a third one.
But now there's a third one. Oddish into Gloom into Vileplume. That was an original one.
Love Oddish.
Oh, my God. I forgot about this one. I did like this one. Poliwag to Poliwhirl to Poliwrath.
Another great
was
one.
Good.
Yeah.
Abra into Kadabra into Alakazam. Oh, my God.
One of the best.
Slept on another one. Machop into Machoke into Machamp.
I was a Machoke fan.
I loved it.
Yeah.
I loved that one. The only thing is you could only get Machamp by trading Machoke. Remember?
right.
You couldn't
I
evolve it
forgot
up. You had
about
to
that.
trade him. You had to trade him, which sucked. Geodude, Graveler, Golem, we talked about that one. Ghastly, Haunter, Gengar, yes, very close, or very good on
My
that
faves.
one. We forgot maybe one of the GOAT ones too. Dratini, Dragonair, Dragonite.
Dragonite.
Dragonite was very powerful. Very
One of the
powerful.
best.
Very powerful.
Very rare. Yeah. Like
All right, good. I'm always for a good 5-minute conversation on Pokemon, man. I'm all for that. I love it. I appreciate everybody joining us on this. So if you have one out there, send us your favorite 3-level evolution from Generation 1 of Pokemon. That's a tough one to pick. Damn. I might go Machoke.
Yeah.
I might go Machoke. That might actually be the answer.
I can't fault you for that
To
selection.
digress, it was always a great deviation there, but boom, anything else there in the morning
I was
update?
happy to talk a little Pokemon. Gotta
I
catch
love
them
it.
all. Am
A
I
lot
right?
of it. Love it.
So I did want to ask you about, we kind of talked about how the first defender in the NFL draft didn't go off the board until pick 15 at the Colts. Latu, I don't know if I'm pronouncing that first name.
It actually sounded pretty good, yeah.
First defender off the board, and I think that gives me a good reason to bring an update here to our most recent poll, Matt, in which we asked about, basically asking viewers to call their shot for pick 54 for the Browns tonight. Of course, the possibility of them making a trade, but we gave 4 options: receiver, D-line, O-line, and other. And interestingly, because we talked about receiver maybe being the favorite, but they are right now in a close second because D-line is the fan favorite right now at 37.5%, with wide receiver in a close 35% behind. Now, we kind of touched on it, but there are a lot of great defenders still on the board here, and now I'm kind of feeling like I'm starting to lean towards defense as the way that you got to go for pick 54 tonight if they stand pat.
Here's the thing about the D-line. You're good for now because a lot of those guys are 1-year veteran deals, the Andrew Berry special, as we normally go with it, right?
It's a depth pick.
Exactly. You have Sione Ika, who didn't play at all. He was like basically a red shirt. But you think about being able to supplement that position for at least the next 3 years. Now, Boom, the one thing that I look at is I've always been searching for that bookend guy to go with Myles Garrett for 5 years, right? Get me my Alex Highsmith that TJ Watt has. These guys are not it. These are all D tackles. And you re-sign Zadarius Smith, that's fine. So you might be saying for Andrew Berry to say, I want to get out of this cycle. I want to get out of this cycle of just having to retread a lot of these D tackle positions. And their addressing of the D tackle has been high, relative of third round. Ika, Isaiah Thomas and Alex Wright as defensive end types. So a few swings and misses there. But I say the same thing about receiver. Elijah Moore is not going to be here next year. There's no way, right? Then you talk about Amari Cooper's future, which I hope they could sign him to a deal and extend him out. Then you talk about the excitement that I still have for Cedric Tillman. But I live in a world where Judy Cooper, Ced Tillman, and draft guy, I think they could all get on the field. I do. Yeah. And you also got to ask yourself, which is one of the important things for Andrew Berry to do, who is more likely to fall? Which position do you feel like is more likely to fall back to you at 85? Then do you get spicy and move up from 85? I would say, to your point, I think D tackle is more likely to have a few guys trickle down to you. I think wide receiver is going to have a run here coming up in round 2. Yeah, Adonai Mitchell, not going to be there. Ladd McConkey, not going to be there at 54. Keon Coleman, not going to be there. Then do people then start getting there? Oh, man, we better go take Jalen Polk here. We better jump on Troy Franklin. But there's 8 guys in the wide receivers that I'd love to have. There's probably only 2 or 3 D tackles, maybe. So the yin and the yang, I don't know. Here's the thing. Draft a guy, move up from 85. Do that. Why not just do that?
Yeah.
You don't need a lot of positions on this team. You don't need a lot of players. Move up. Dude, again, one of the many reasons I'm not an NFL general manager, I would trade away every pick in the 5th, 6th, and 7th rounds. I don't care. I want all my picks in rounds 1, 2, 3, and 4. That's it. I do that every single year, to be honest with you. And I know you can find diamonds in the rough, and you got to find depth guys for special teams and all that kind of stuff. Bro, I want top of the draft all day. And the other thing, you and I have not discussed this, but the fact that NIL is impacting the draft. Where is the NIL going to be felt? In rounds 4, 5, 6. Because if guys are in those positions, I'm just going to go back to school. I'm going to go back to school. I'm going to make money in school and maybe improve my draft stock, where normally as a 5th round pick, a 4th round pick, you're like, well, I might as well go now. There's no point in going back. Well, now there's money to be had in college. That is the middle ground where you're going to start feeling the NIL start to hit it there a little bit, in my opinion. So I'd move up, but that's just me. We'll see.
Yeah, fascinating point there in terms of NIL's impact. And you're channeling your inner Mike Ditka over there. With just trade all the late picks. Give me a high round one.
Give me Ricky Williams all day, buddy.
Yeah. Didn't work out too great for him. But
no, they did not. No, it did not.
Anyway, so I'll skip my NBA headlines today. I want to put a bow on this edition of Morning Headlines with the Guardians.
Yeah!
Would be remiss if we didn't touch on them. Obviously, you're rocking the Guardians tee.
BigPlay.com, buddy.
Yep. We've got a great matchup tonight, Matt.
These shirts fit. So I had to go up in a size, Boom. I had large. These are XL. They fit so much better. I will tell you, they run a little small. Good fabric, great designs. BigPlay.com. Get all your merch there. We're great.
Talking about nostalgia with Pokemon, and now look the play on Super Mario Bros.
I didn't even think about that. Tell Cody, get us a Pokemon shirt going up there if you can.
I know, right?
Wouldn't that be fun? Should we do a show shirt that way?
Just through the roof.
That'd be fun. I'm in for that.
So to put a bow on this edition of the Morning Updates, great matchup taking place tonight as the Guardians travel to Atlanta to take on the Braves. Guardians 18-7, Braves 17-6. Now, I want to ask in particular about the pitching because the Guardians have Logan Allen going onto the mound tonight. Now, he is 3-0 on the year, which is awesome. However, his ERA is upwards of 5. He's going up against Chris Sale.
Isn't that crazy? I saw that this morning. I'm like, I forgot he was there. And then I know he's been injured and all that kind of stuff. Here's some good news, man. Have the Guardians not seen, I know not this team per se, but the organization, you've seen a lot of Chris Sale. You've seen a lot of Chris Sale over his time.
Fair, great point.
I'm excited, man. Here's the thing. I don't think this is going to happen. They could get swept by Atlanta, another little test for you. You didn't go so well against the Yankees. Let's see where, dude, I can't tell you how much I love that I'm excited to watch baseball every night. Even yesterday, like the day game was great and they scrapped out a win and all that kind of stuff. Jose, what an animal. What an absolute animal that guy is. But this series, dude, I'm through the roof. I am so excited to see. Tonight's going to be a great night. Tonight's going to be so fun. Watching the draft, sit down and watch the Guardians game. Our boost is up, by the way, at Tipico. Guardians plus a run and a half. A hit for Josh Naylor over strikeouts for Logan Allen. Get it done. Ryan has joined in. He goes, hell yeah, I played Pokemon, by the way. Matt thinks I was born in 2010, I swear. Now, Ryan, I know you're watching. Did you play Gen 1? Did you play when it was just 151? I don't know about that. We'll see. Bohm and I are a little bit older on that.
Also, all the not just the Game Boy games, but also like I was a huge fan of Pokemon Snap, Pokemon Stadium. Like I played all that stuff. I was obsessed.
Yeah.
But I digress, and that will do it for this edition of the Morning Headlines.
All right, great stuff. Do you want to do the grid real quick with us this morning? We do it every day. It's a little vibe check for the weekend. We're already 35. We'll go grid right into timeout, right into our NBA picks for tonight, right into the draft. The immaculate grid. Boom. Let's get after it. Here we go.
Do we have an intro for that?
There's a little music that he plays. I don't know which one it is.
Just keep the same music
Keep
going.
the music. That's fine.
Let's just try a new one. See what we get.
No, not that one. Try the other one. Nope, no. I hope we play that because it means we got it right. This is it. This is the grid.
Found it.
All
Found
right.
it. All right, so we got the grid up.
Here we go. Here's how it goes. Can you scroll down just a hair for me on that? Yeah, there we go. All right, so we got Saints, Falcons, all that. Got to go up and down. Got to go left and right. Bohm is in today. Bohm, we've been really struggling on the grid. So we got 9 minutes to see if we can get it out here. Ryan is watching. I will accept text from Ryan. He can help us.
No pressure.
Here we go. Clock has started. Let's start out. You just want to do 3,000 yards passing quickly. Now, wait a minute. I almost put Mike Vick over there.
Right. Yeah, save that for the 3,000 yards.
Well, no. Put him in Falcons-Eagles is what I'm saying. Unless you have another Falcons-Eagles player.
Julio Jones.
Ooh.
Right? He played for the Eagles last year?
Now, wait a minute. Did they play? He never played anywhere else. Look at.
Well, he also played in Tennessee, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, but I'm saying he doesn't work for the other one. So go ahead and put Julio there. Good call. Because here's the game. Try to use easy ones where we can, but don't sacrifice other ones.
Michael Vick was the first one that came to mind. But
oh, my God. How do we? Yeah.
I saw the 3,000 yards thing.
That's
I was like, oh, maybe you want to save that.
Save that. I mean, we could have put, I don't know, was there another? Remember Matt Schaub in Atlanta? Remember him?
I do.
Yeah, he went off for a little bit. But go ahead. Yeah, put Mike Vick there. Wait a minute.
It says wrong?
Wait a minute.
Did he not throw for 3,000 yards?
In a season? Oh, it's season. How did he not? Oh, duh. We should have just done Matt Ryan. All right. Can you reset it? All right. We're going to put Matt Ryan there. Well, hang on. Can you redo it? No, it's probably not going to let us. Because I want to see the
Would
totality.
that just be like refreshing?
Yeah. I don't think it's going to work. Put Matt Ryan there. That's fine. Duh.
Damn.
Right. Our first mistake. That's fine. Josh Allen, Drew Brees. Go ahead and finish those on out there for Buffalo and the Saints.
Easy peasy. Wait. We got multiple Josh Allens here.
Pick those. Not the defensive end, the other guy.
2018 or 2019?
2018. Okay. Josh Allen, the quarterback, was first. Yep. And then Drew Brees. All right, now the game is on. So here's been our new strategy. Boom. Is there anything just kind of sitting back, big picture that jumps out to you?
LaShawn McCoy.
Yes.
For Bills and Eagles.
Yes. Great one.
Malcolm Jenkins.
That's where I was thinking that. Saints, Eagles. Look at us. All right. Okay.
Yeah, former Buckeye. I'd be remiss to miss that.
No, yeah. That's a good pull right there. The only thing about Malcolm Jenkins that the brand, you know that brand that he's got on his arm? It's his fraternity.
Yeah.
I cannot stare at it every time I see it.
I know.
It's big.
It does stand out.
I'm sure that hurt a lot getting it. All right. So now we're into the Texans.
Where did Stephon Diggs get traded? Houston?
Well, okay. Oh, wait. They have to play the game.
Oh,
So, like, we did that the other day. There was one that we were like, yes, but they have to have played a game there yet.
Sucks.
I like where you're thinking, but no. It doesn't work that way. All
Matt
right.
Schaub play for the Texans as well?
Who's that?
Matt Schaub?
I think he did. Did he not? Am I misremembering Matt?
I feel like he
I
did.
know he played for the Texans, and was not he like
Came from Atlanta.
that? I'm reversing it. He had all his success with the Texans, came from Atlanta, but it still works for that. Good pull there. Yes, you're right. I'm reversing it. He was a legacy quarterback there for the Texans, revitalizing his career, so to speak, after he had played a long time in Atlanta.
Bada bing, bada boom.
Two more, and we're gonna we'll you know, you got to give us the pass for a little
Brandon
bit.
Cooks.
He's always a good one for this, is he not? Brandon Cooks.
Yeah, journeyman.
Yes,
True
always
journeyman.
a good one. Now, the problem is you're going to click it, we're going to get it, and it's going to say we're going to miss the final one, even though we screwed up, you know, Matt Ryan, Mike Vick. So, here, do you want me to pull it up, and then we can guess?
Yeah.
Okay. Immaculate Grid, football.
I'm still brainstorming anyway, so you got to.
No, that's fine. We got plenty of time here. All right. Bills, Texans. Bills, Texans.
Yeah, with the Texans being a relatively new franchise, it definitely limits.
Oh. Is not Ryan Fitzpatrick the answer there? He is one of our like skeleton keys. He works
Another
for so
journeyman.
much.
Yeah.
I know Buffalo, and I think Houston. Am I misremembering Ryan Fitzpatrick with Houston?
I think you're right.
All right. Should I rip it?
Rip it. Rip it and rip it.
Yeah,
baby.
we got it. Boom. Yes.
Mike Vick. Mike Vick was the one
That's not
wrench.
our fault. We screwed that up on our own. Give us the pass. Let's go.
How about that?
I know it doesn't look so good on the screens. There's a fat one there, but Ryan Fitzpatrick very clearly finishes that on out. Well done, Bohm. That's how you kick off the weekend,
That was
buddy.
smooth.
Let's go. Nice little easy, smooth one for us on that. Nice. All right. That's how you get to the weekend here. Right. Let's get to time op real quick, though. Let's do that. Let's get to time op. We'll get to our NBA picks for tonight, and we'll get to a very important bracket as well. Boom, let's get to time op. You know how it works. We head back this day in history. Tell you what happened. 26th of April is the date. And we go back 2 years ago. Actually, I'm sorry, 3 years ago today. Baker Mayfield availability before the draft, offseason, all that kind of stuff. Boom, the biggest thing to come out from Baker this day, 21, was he was basically saying that there were things in place to make sure that the mistakes that had happened in the past weren't going to happen again. And I thought about that of, if that was a shot at prior regimes, probably more like Freddie than anything. But this, let's see, 21. I'm trying. I want to pull the quotes up of what Baker had to say. So we go back. Here it is. Baker, it's, okay, win games. If you'd like to get a deal done soon, he said that was really kind of out of my control. I'm taking it one day at a time. When he talked about Odell Beckham, where we were at before his injury, we truly didn't have an identity on offense. It took our bye week to sit down and grow. I talked to him. He looks good. He feels good. Looking forward to this season. When Baker was asked on making sure there isn't a repeat of the failed expectations in 2019 of failing them in 2021, and he said, quote, "It's nowhere near what it was," which is a good thing. That was shot at Freddie.
Totally
Total
fired.
shot at Freddie Kitchens. And yes, very thankfully. Now, here's the thing. They didn't live up to expectations in 21 either, but nonetheless. Also, speaking of Baker Mayfield, it all changed this day, 2018, Michael Bohm. I got 5 drafts I'm going to rip through right in order. 2018, Browns go Baker Mayfield, Denzel Ward, Darnold, Allen, Saquon Barkley. Boom. I wanted to go Barkley 1, quarterback at 4. But that would have cost me Nick Chubb, because they would never have drafted Nick Chubb in that second round. It all works out. A means to an end, buddy.
Shout out to the Seahawks, basically, for drafting Rashad Penny, who it was rumored the Browns wanted, but because they couldn't get him,
they go with
wound
Nick
up with
Chubb.
good old Nick Chubb.
What a stacked draft 2018. Baker, Saquon, Darnold, Denzel Ward, Bradley Chubb, Quentin Nelson, Josh Allen, Roquan Smith, Minka Fitzpatrick in the first round. Vita Vea. I like Mike McGlinchey. I think he's solid, but he's there. Deron Payne, Derwin James, Jair Alexander were all first rounds in that draft. 2018. Calvin Ridley at 26. You talk about Rashad Penny there. And then at 32, Lamar Jackson coming out. Second round, Chubb, Shaq Leonard in that second round. Cortland Sutton, Gesicki. Jesse Bates was a second-round pick in that one. Dude, Fred Warner, who's one of the best linebackers in football, was the third round, 70 overall. Orlando Brown was in the third round. Ravens, 86. Tight end out of Oklahoma, Mark Andrews. Ugh, what a find. What a find.
Go-to.
That draft, man, solid draft 2018. All right, we go all the way back to 2012. Andrew Luck, RG3. Trent Richardson, Brandon Weeden for the Browns in 2012. Man.
Hey, at least you got a first-round pick out of him.
You know, that's how we fleeced the Colts. I don't know. I didn't want Trent Richardson from the jump. And it wasn't necessarily about Trent Richardson. It was about a running back. I wanted Justin Blackmon really bad. Of course, he had a lot of off-the-field problems.
He was better than Trent.
It probably would have worked out better. Some middle of the first round, Luke Kuechly in the first round. Stephon Gilmore was there. Fletcher Cox, Chandler Jones, Kevin Zeitler, Harrison Smith, all first-round picks this day, 2012. We go down to 2008. Jake Long goes first overall to Miami. Of course, the Browns did not have a first-round pick after they traded it for Brady Quinn the year prior.
Was that the Bo Bell year?
We didn't have a pick to the fourth round, man.
Yeah,
Bo Bell. It was. Mark Rucker, all those guys. 2008, excuse me. Matt Ryan goes 3. Gerard Mayo went 10. Now coach of the Patriots. Kind of not what you thought. Joe Flacco, 18. Dwayne Brown, not a real good draft in 08. That's happened this day, 08. This day, 2003, Carson Palmer goes first overall to the Bengals.
Oh, that was
of course, out of USC. That draft, I don't know why, I feel like stands up a little bit. Andre Johnson, Hall of Famer at 3. Terrell Suggs in the first round. Troy Polamalu at 16. Willis McGahee, Dallas Clark.
That was the year the U was just packed.
Who did the Browns take in 03? Oh, Jeff Fain. Remember him? Center out of Notre Dame. Yeah.
Number 50.
He was all right. This day, 1992, Steve Entman goes first overall to the Colts. And touchdown Tommy Vardell goes 9 to the Browns in 1992. This day, 1989, Lucille Ball unfortunately passed away. Can't say I ever really watched a lot of I Love Lucy, but I respect it.
I was very young.
I've
seen some reruns.
I respect it. This day, 1986, the Chernobyl disaster. Did you watch that docuseries? Or not even docuseries, like it wasn't a documentary, but the miniseries on Netflix?
I've seen bits and pieces.
Oh, my God. If you're really bored, watch it. It's really good. Jared Harris plays the scientist dude. Can you imagine this? And I know it really happened, but in the movie, they go to 3 guys, and they go, you're going to put these suits on. They're really not going to help you. And you got to go in there and turn something off. You will absorb radiation that is going to melt your skin and kill you in a week. But you got to go in there.
Majorly effed up.
They went in and did it, and somehow I think survived. Like, I think the story goes, the actual people, like, they didn't get as sick as they thought they were going to be. But Chernobyl, this day, 1986. Watch it. It was a pretty good series. This day, 1983, potentially the greatest draft of all time, with 7 Hall of Famers in the first round. John Elway, Eric Dickerson, Jimbo Covert, Bruce Matthews, Jim Kelly, Dan Marino, and Darryl Green, all in the first round. By the way, shout out to Darryl Green. I just saw he got his number retired, right?
That was also the year that 6 quarterbacks were taken in the NFL draft.
That's right, because they brought that up. Yeah. That's a good pull right there. It is. This day, 1865, for all you historians out there, John Wilkes Booth dies after being shot by Union soldiers. He was on the run for 12 days after he shot President Lincoln. 12 days on the run. This day, 1607, the first permanent residents of the United States landed at Cape Henry to popularize, I guess, or whatever you want to do, populate the area. Very happy birthday. I think of Brenda all the time. Kosuke Fukudome.
Oh, yeah.
I always yell Fukudome. He's celebrating a birthday today. Former Brown Buster Screen, all rise for Aaron Judge, celebrating a birthday today. Jet Li, Carol Burnett, Channing Tatum, Melania Trump, Kane, like the wrestler, Kevin James, the actor. Yeah. And Jordana Brewster of Fast and Furious fame. Also
Oh.
celebrating birthdays today. All right, boom. 3 for you today. 2 movies and a television show. Normally I like to play clips, but I can't, so I'll describe them poorly. We go back this day. I think it was 2019. Hang on. I'm screwed up on my date.
Yeah, we want to get this right.
2019. This day, 2019. This film ended one of the biggest chapters of cinematic history ever seen.
Superhero film?
Superhero film?
Is it Batman related?
No. The other one?
DC though?
No.
Oh, Marvel. Okay.
Yeah.
Avengers.
Which one?
Endgame.
Endgame is correct.
Okay.
You know, I cried at the end of that movie.
Oh,
Seriously, no joke, bro. We were leaving for vacation the next day. Quick story. And Avengers Endgame was out. My wife and I took off work because we were packing to go to Ireland. We were taking our in-law, my wife's parents, to Ireland. So we had a day off. So I looked it up. There was like an 11 a.m. screening of Endgame. It had just come out at Strong's. Hey, let's go get lunch. You want to go watch the superhero with me? Sure. I'm at the end of it. Uncontrollably sobbing.
Yeah, understandably
she
so.
is so embarrassed. She is so embarrassed. And she looks at me, she goes, "What is wrong with you?" And I was like, "I don't know." And she goes, "Is it because the movie is over? Is it because this cinematic universe is over? It's because Tony died?" And I said, "I don't know. It's because all of it." I cried again when I got in the car. Couldn't help it.
There is no shame in crying to Endgame.
Absolutely not.
Yeah, it's weirder to me
Now,
if you didn't
friend
cry.
of ours, Cody Dowk, he hates it. He hates Endgame. He thinks
Really?
he can't stand it. He can't stand it. He thinks it's trash.
Wow.
I don't know why.
That's a hot take.
He doesn't like it.
Scorching hot
Avengers Assemble, all of it. I don't know what to tell you. Endgame. All right, this day 2019. All right, quickly. Movie this day 1995. It's ironic that its birthday is today on this day of the week, which helps maybe.
Oh, geez. I need more than that. What? Give me a genre here.
Comedy.
Comedy from 1995.
Bye, Felicia.
Oh, Friday.
Friday is right.
Oh, snap.
I love Friday. I love Friday. Final thing, a television show. This day, 1989. It's kind of funny that we were discussing Pokemon because this TV series, which is it's one of the most popular shows to ever come out of Japan, not named Pokemon.
It's not Dragon Ball
It's
series.
Dragon Ball Z,
Whoa,
buddy. Dragon
really?
Ball Z, 1989.
I didn't realize that show was that old.
Oh, I didn't either, right?
Oh.
Yeah, I didn't either. And I think obviously there's the United States and all that, but 1989, Dragon Ball Z got fired up for us right
DBZ
there.
was my absolute favorite anime show ever, bar none.
Can't say I really ever got into it.
Oh, well.
You know, obviously I was into the
Sure.
Pokemon and all that
Same.
and that, but I know Miles Garrett's really into it. So yes,
Yeah.
Dragon Ball Z.
Yeah, still my favorite Miles Garrett touchdown dance or whatever it was, like turnover dance, was when he did the fusion dance.
Yes.
It was just perfect when he lines up the fingers perfectly with a teammate.
And his dog is named Gohan. I mean, I get it. He's all into it. Great stuff. All right, quickly for our plays for tonight, Michael Bohm, we have 3 NBA games. Milwaukee, Indiana. It's a 6.5-point spread on the side for Indiana. We've got the Clippers taking on Dallas. That game in Dallas. Dallas is a 4.5-point favorite. We finish it out in Phoenix as they're a 4.5-point favorite over at the Minnesota Timberwolves. We start with our trends here. Milwaukee, just 3-7 against the spread their last 10 games. 2-5 against the spread their last 7 against Indiana, and just 1-6 straight up in their last 7 games on the road. You flip it over for the Pacers, 5-2 straight up in their last 7, 5-0 straight up in their last 5. I think I got to go Pacers tonight, which is crazy. Like I'm maybe all the way out on the Bucks, man.
Yeah.
Without Giannis, unless Dame's putting up 50, it's first game there in Indiana. I think I'm going to take the Pacers tonight. I think I'm taking minus the points.
Yeah, I just have this feeling that Milwaukee's
go
kind of
6.
falling apart at the seams.
Yeah.
And meanwhile, Indy on the up and up. So,
Yeah.
give me the Paces.
This is my favorite series. Clippers, Mavs, 4.5 on the side of Dallas. They're back home. Clippers just 1-4 against the spread their last 5, but they are 7-3 against the spread their last 10 games against Dallas, and 6-1 straight up in their last 7 games on the road. Dallas scorching hot. 15-5 against the spread their last 20, 13-4 straight up in their last 7. I think I'm actually going to take the Clippers plus the points. I could see Dallas winning the game. I actually might see the Clippers win. Boom, I'm just going to put a lot on. I think Kawhi Leonard's going to be better. I think after that first game in, getting back from the knee, I expect a better Kawhi Leonard tonight, so I would probably take Clippers in the points there.
Yeah, I was honestly shocked that the Clippers won that game 1, and it was like the Russell Westbrook, James Harden show. Like, whoa, giving me flashbacks over here. But I do think that Dallas is the better team overall, and I am going to take them in this one.
Phoenix minus 4.5. Tell me, please don't take the Suns. Just say, man.
I really don't want to. I love what's happening to them, especially with the feud between that owner and Dan Gilbert.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I hear it's a good point, too.
Yeah.
I'll take Minnesota. But I don't like it. All right, I'll take Minnesota. I'll take it. All right, I'll take him.
It's Friday.
I know. I'll take him. I'll feel good about it. We got to figure it out. But we did a best cheese bracket this week on the show. Do you have a favorite cheese?
I'm a Swiss guy.
Swiss got eliminated early. I hate Swiss.
Oh.
Can't stand Swiss.
Okay, I would say also sharp cheddar.
So cheddar, mozzarella, provolone, and pepper jack were the finalists. Pepper jack they're going to win. 31% of the vote to pepper jack.
Spicy.
Very good. Cheddar, mozzarella, 25%. Provolone, where I voted, 19% dead last. But it's unfortunate. Pepper jack's got its moments, but there we are. Folks, tonight, get ready to go. Browns, Guardians, going to be an amazing night. Final thing, Bohm, call your shot. 54. Do they make the pick? And if so, what position?
I'm going to say they do make the pick just because I really want to see it.
So do I.
And with you, I mean, my favorite thing, and I know that it's kind of irrational because, like, it's good when you draft other positions, but my favorite thing to see is when they draft wide receivers. It's like my favorite shiny new toy to bring into the fold. So I do want to see a receiver come off the board when Cleveland's on the clock tonight, man.
I'm 100% with you. Malachi Corley does it for me. Walker does it for me. Troy Franklin would be fine. I want a receiver. I want to stay at 54. I'm still smelling a little bit of a trade back, but I hope they stay there at 54 and make the pick. It's going to be a great night. Guardians, too. Oh, man, it's going to be so much fun. Plus, the draft starts at 7, does it not? Last time it was 8. I think it's 7 tonight. Let's go. Folks, it's going to be great. That'll do it for us today, but don't forget, big play, big bets later today with Dave and Nick getting ready for a vast weekend across the slate of games. For the Cavs tomorrow, I hope they can get the rebound. I think they will. I think they're going to come back and get that win. So we got you locked and loaded on that. Getting bet with our friends at Tipico, using that code Fontana100 for new customers when you sign up to get those bonus bets and all the shows throughout the week. We had Chico, we had Bruce, we had Hanford, we had Bobby Carpenter, we had the Bangalorian guys last night. Big play Cincy. How they doing with that offensive lineman? You want to know about that? Tune in on Tuesday for Enter the Jungle with James Rapine, Andrew Fox Miller. Folks, Big Play is wherever you need it, and bigplay.com for all of our sick merch. It's there for you. Folks, enjoy the hell out of a sports weekend. That's going to be awesome. Get it done, Guards. Get it done, Cavs. Have fun tonight with the draft. For Michael Bohm, I am Matt Fontana, and as always, take it easy.